I'm also so exhausted mentally and physically from the stress of raising a child. That's why I need Michael's support so badly. I tried my best to persuade Michael to stay. I'm also enduring Thea's crying every night. Plus, I'm nearing my mental limit from exhaustion. Raising a child has traditionally been a mother's job, right? Regardless of what I do, it's none of your business, Michael said, showing slight irritation. Are you serious? How can you plan a vacation to Mexico with your sisters at a time like this? I'm just going to leave my family and wife for a short while and have some fun. Saying that, Michael grabbed his bag with a grin and hurriedly left the house. I wanted to follow him, but I could hear Thea crying from inside the room, so I couldn't move. Tears wouldn't stop flowing as I tried to process my feelings. I didn't work so hard to support a man like this. I dreamed of building a good life together as a couple. However, Michael showed no willingness to work. Moreover, he took my gold card without permission and used it without hesitation. I've reached my limit with this manipulative man. I hardened my heart and began to plan my revenge on Michael. My name is Susan Diane. I am turning 30 this year. I started my career as a new employee in a major, well-known company. I've been working there since my younger days and have continued to work hard. One day, on my way home from work, feeling tired, I stopped by a bar. There I met my current husband, Michael. He was working as a bartender behind the counter. Michael is 28, 6 years younger than me. He has a very attractive face and a friendly personality. He was someone I could easily talk to about work concerns or just chat. Gradually, visiting that bar became a part of my daily routine. Our relationship developed, and we started living together as a couple. My family was initially not in favor of my relationship with Michael. Many suggested dating men from my workplace, but my feelings for Michael were unwavering. I firmly believed in our future together. In the early days of our marriage, he played an active role in our household. Since his bartending shift started in the evening, he supported our home during the day. Susan, you must be tired from work, so I'll prepare dinner tonight. These words showed his consideration towards me. When I came home, dishes prepared by Michael were laid out on the table, and I felt grateful almost every day, thinking marrying him was the right choice. However, a few months after our marriage, I noticed a subtle change in Michael's attitude. It seemed related to my salary. One evening, when I came home, my salary slip was spread out on the living room table. Sitting in front of it, he was tracing the figures on the slip with a look of surprise. I never thought Susan would be earning this much. He looked up at me, clearly taken aback. In fact, I hadn't specifically informed Michael about the exact amount of my income since our marriage. Even if I worked standing all day, I couldn't earn this much. Susan really works hard. He tilted his head, deep in thought, and spoke to me with a hint of regret in his eyes. A few days later, as we dined together, Michael suddenly blurted out, "Actually, I quit my job today." What? Why? I was so shocked by his words that I dropped my fork. I've been thinking, just with my salary, it might be tough for both of us to live comfortably. So I decided I'll handle everything at home, and we'll live off your income. That way, you can focus even more on your work. But how can we manage with only one income? My voice trembled as I spoke. In truth, I hadn't been feeling well since the morning, so during my lunch break, I bought a pregnancy test at a nearby pharmacy. The result was positive, and I decided to share this astonishing news with Michael tonight. "Michael, it seems like we're going to have a baby." "Really? Are you serious?" His face was filled with surprise, and he seemed at a loss for words for a moment. "I took a test today. If I end up taking maternity leave, I might be a bit worried about you quitting your job." I honestly expressed my concerns to Michael. In response, Michael said, but the company you work for pays a full salary even during maternity leave, right? I was a bit taken aback by his words. That's true, but my mind was swirling with emotions, and I didn't know what to do. It seemed Michael was more concerned about my salary during maternity leave than the fact I was pregnant. He said he intended to take on all the household responsibilities, and he expected me to focus on earning a salary. At first glance, it sounded like he was thinking of my best interests, but I was left with a lingering unease. I was aware of the significant difference between my income and Michael's, but I hadn't anticipated relying solely on my salary for our household expenses. I could feel my anxieties about the future and my doubts about him growing day by day. According to a recent doctor's diagnosis, our child was indeed growing inside me. Despite the changes in my condition during the early stages of pregnancy, I focused on my work. On the other hand, I felt that Michael was neglecting his responsibilities at home more than before. The way he spent time at home seemed to be changing drastically. His tendency to shirk responsibilities became increasingly evident, and every time I returned from work, the house seemed more and more in disarray. When I lived in the kitchen, I saw a pile of dishes left unwashed. "Oh, you're back." Michael, lounging on the living room sofa, didn't do anything in particular when he saw me. He was engrossed in using his smartphone. "What are we doing for dinner tonight?" "Actually, I went to a large local bathhouse today and had a meal there." "I'm sorry, but could you heat up some frozen food for tonight?" He said this while lightly pointing towards the refrigerator. That day, I was honestly exhausted and hungry, and I didn't feel like arguing with him, so I relied on the frozen food he pointed out. Time passed, and I started my maternity leave. As I spent more time at home, I began to notice more pronounced changes in Michael's behavior. Even when I kindly asked him to take on household chores more often, Michael immediately retorted, "Since you are at home now, do it. It's not fair for me to always be the one doing everything." He became upset and left the house. Conflicts like this occurred frequently, making our marital relationship increasingly strained. However, the silver lining was that the baby in my belly was growing healthily without any issues. Time went on, and I eventually gave birth. I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. We named her Thea. I decided not to return to my parents' home for the birth and chose to welcome her here. To support that decision, my mother came to our apartment and helped with our daily life. I have an older sister by 2 years named Maran. She had already married a man named Vince and had started their new life together. Maran and her husband Vince hadn't been blessed with children yet, and Maran was a full-time housewife. One day, Maran visited our apartment by herself. She carried a large bag with her. "Susan, congratulations on your baby's birth." She celebrated the birth of my lively daughter and brought warm gifts for her. "She's truly adorable." She gently hugged Thea, looking at her with a joyful expression. I noticed Michael watching the scene from a corner with a smile. I felt a certain unease for some reason. My sister Maran was always cheerful, and with her beauty and charm, she attracted the attention of many men. Whenever Maran visited our home, I noticed Michael hovering around her. "Hey, doesn't it feel exceptionally hot today? My mouth is getting dry." Reacting to Maran's words, Michael quickly headed to the kitchen, took out some juice from the fridge, and started pouring it into a beautiful glass. He added ice and made a refreshing drink just for her. "Maran, here you go. I've prepared a cold juice for you." "Well, thank you, Michael. I wish my husband would be as thoughtful as you." Maran finished the juice in no time. Michael watched her with a smile and kept buzzing around her. Since Thea's birth, I noticed that Maran visited more often, and every time, Michael and Maran seemed to enjoy lively conversations together. On the other hand, I was overwhelmed by taking care of Thea and felt exhausted every day. These night cries, in particular, were tough, leading to many sleepless nights for me. Due to this lack of sleep and stress, Michael started to get irritated by Thea's prolonged night cries. I can't take it anymore. If this keeps up, I might lose my mind in this house. I couldn't contain myself after hearing that and exploded. If you don't like it here so much, why don't you find a job outside? You barely help around the house, and you don't take care of Thea at all. Michael shrugged his shoulders. Isn't the income during your maternity leave enough to sustain our current lifestyle? Do I really need to hustle and work outside? His eyes calmly yet sharply stared at me. From that gaze, I strongly felt that he had no intention to look for work. I couldn't believe he thought that way. Can you even imagine how much it's going to cost to raise Thea? I can't forgive a father who just skips housework and hangs out all the time. But Michael wasn't fazed by my words and began walking towards the entrance. Wait, Michael, where are you going? Michael quickly put on his shoes. I'm going to Maran's house, he replied in a low voice. I was taken aback. I couldn't believe he was heading to Maran's house because of our fight. Late into the night, I received a message on my phone from Michael. He wrote that he intended to spend that night at Maran's house. Concerned, I called Maran, and she lightly laughed, saying, "It's okay. Small spats between spouses are normal." The next day, when Michael returned home, he seemed to be organizing his things. As I approached to ask him, he said, "I'm packing for a trip." I was taken aback and exclaimed, "A trip?" My mind was in turmoil, unsure how to react. I've been really stressed these past few days, and when I confided in Maran, she suggested a short getaway. So we planned a trip all of a sudden. But where are you planning to go? To Mexico. I'm looking forward to delicious barbecue and various dishes. It's going to be a short stay of 2 nights and 3 days. I was bewildered by this and couldn't gather my thoughts. Wait, just the 2 of you? I asked, feeling a rush of anxiety. Don't worry, Vince is also joining. It's not just the 2 of us, he replied with a light chuckle. But I'm exhausted from taking care of Thea and emotionally drained. I need your help and support now more than ever. I desperately conveyed my feelings to Michael. Honestly, enduring Thea's cries every night is tough for me. And isn't it mainly the mother's role to raise the child? I can't believe you think like that. Going on a trip to Mexico with Maran and the others when things are so tough here. I'm going to refresh myself. It's important to have some personal time, even if it means leaving the family for a bit, Michael said with a smug smile, gazing coldly into my eyes. Shortly after, as he hurriedly left the room, his luggage for this short trip was set by his feet. I wanted to chase after him and talk, but I could hear Thea's pitiful cries from deep within the room, so I had no choice but to stay put. I quickly tried to contact Maran, looked for her contact information, and called her using my smartphone. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, but I truly believe that taking a break is absolutely essential when things get mentally tough. So I searched for flight tickets and found some available seats to Mexico at just the right time. Vince can also take a short break, so even though it was a last-minute decision, we're going to Mexico. Oh, and my taxi is almost here, so I have to hang up now. Wait, Maran, why would you? Before I could finish my sentence, the call was disconnected. I was in shock for a moment, then began to wonder about something. Michael shouldn't really have any disposable income. How was he affording this trip to Mexico? Consumed by anxiety, I opened my wallet to check its contents. Oh no, my gold card provided by my company as an employee benefit, with all charges covered by the company, was missing. I hurriedly tried to contact Michael on his phone. Michael, you haven't taken and used my gold card without permission, have you? Actually, I borrowed it for a bit while you were in the bathroom. Right now, I'm at the exclusive gold card member lounge at the airport, about to enjoy some premium champagne with everyone. His reply was astonishingly calm, as if nothing was amiss. Taking my card without asking is utterly unacceptable, no matter how you look at it. I raised my voice, trembling with anger. Don't be ridiculous. We've always relied on your income to support the household. Using the gold card a little doesn't change our usual lifestyle. You're overreacting. Anyway, I'll enjoy my time here. He hung up abruptly. I was utterly devastated. Meanwhile, Thea had started crying again in the next room, as if expressing her loneliness. Looking around the living room, I saw evidence of a life left in disarray, with items scattered everywhere and signs that cleaning had been abruptly stopped. Every day, I was swamped with taking care of Thea and household chores. Despite me being at my limit, Michael casually decided to take a trip to Mexico with Moran and the others. I couldn't believe what was happening. Tears streamed down my face from the anger and frustration. Then it dawned on me, I need to freeze my card. I immediately began searching for the contact details of the credit card company, but as I searched, I gradually calmed down and had an idea. What if I let him use the card on purpose for 2 days, and at the moment when he'd be in the biggest pinch, I would freeze the card? 3 days have passed since Michael and the others left for Mexico. That's when I decided to contact the card company. I requested them to temporarily freeze my gold card. Shortly after, I received a call from Michael. From his voice, I could sense that something unexpected had happened. Apparently, they were on their way to the airport with plenty of time after checking out of the hotel. Actually, we were relaxing in the special Gold Card member lounge at the Mexican airport, but suddenly we were stopped by security staff, and without any explanation, we were kicked out of the lounge. Do you have any idea what's happening? His voice was filled with confusion and anxiety. I see, but think about it, Michael. You aren't officially a Gold Card member to begin with, so isn't it only natural that you were asked to leave the lounge? I conveyed the situation calmly and clearly. Did you have something to do with the card not working? He asked, his voice a mix of shock and suspicion. Yes, I did. I responded briefly but assertively. I can't believe this. Right now, I'm being escorted to the airport security room. I'm being taken away by a security guard, he described, his voice shaking as he spoke. Well, you should have known that there would be problems using a card that it isn't in your name, right? I replied with utmost calmness. I never thought it would come to this. What if I can't return to the U.S. now? His voice was full of anxiety and impatience. I could visualize his belongings and wallet being thoroughly inspected. I couldn't help but smile imagining his situation. According to him, Moran and Vince were also being interrogated in separate rooms. Even more shockingly, the entire travel expenses for Moran and the others were also charged using my gold card. I was taken aback by this startling revelation. A little later, I received a call from Moran. Susan, what were you thinking? We are currently being interrogated at the Mexican airport. Her voice was filled with anger. Moran, I genuinely had no idea. I never imagined that you all would use my gold card to pay for the trip. Michael came to our house, desperately seeking help. Vince and I planned this trip to Mexico to distract him. Since we joined as his support, we thought it was only natural for you, as his wife, to cover the expenses. I was at a loss for words. I was shocked that Moran saw this as a given. It seems that Moran also used my card for shopping and dining while abroad. Susan, to resolve the issue, please lift the card suspension immediately. It's not that simple. Moran showed clear anger at my response and said, "What's with that attitude? You've always been this plain and inconspicuous person, and yet you managed to establish a family and have a child before me. Just lift the card suspension without any complaints." Despite being engrossed in your job all the time, your salary must be high, right? And you must have a lot of savings too, don't you? Her harsh words deeply wounded my heart. Her words dripped with genuine feelings. Maran, with her glamorous looks and friendly demeanor, was always the center of attention. Meanwhile, I always existed quietly in her shadow. So my having a family before her must have been an unexpected development for her. Then I suddenly heard Vince's calm voice from the other end of the phone. Susan, I'm truly sorry about earlier. It seems there was a misunderstanding in the information I received from Maran." "A misunderstanding? What do you mean?" "Maran told me to help Michael. Everyone needs to go on this trip, and all the expenses will be borne by Susan, so I'd like you to help us out." So we decided to travel to Mexico. Hearing that, I felt a mix of shock and anger towards Maran's scheming. It was unbelievable that Maran had told Vince such a different story using my name. Considering the situation, I've chosen to return using my own means. "Vince, why would you make such a decision?" "I plan to use my credit card and cash to purchase a new airline ticket to return." "Vince, wait, aren't you getting tickets for us too? Leaving us behind here is unthinkable." Maran's voice, filled with anger and urgency, resonated clearly over the phone. In the background, Michael too was shouting a similar request. "Vince, I'm really begging you. Can't you arrange return tickets for us as well?" "That's impossible." Upon hearing those words, I was taken aback. Indeed, I couldn't accept the fact that Maran and Michael had unauthorized to use my card, but I couldn't grasp why Vince was being so cold towards them. After that, Vince dropped a bombshell on me. "Susan, listen carefully. It seems that Michael and Maran have a romantic relationship." "Really?" My surprise peaked, and my mind was in turmoil. Lately, I've noticed that Michael and Maran have become unusually close. Also, I've repeatedly caught the scent of a specific cologne that Michael wears at my house. I started to suspect that something was going on between them. This scent permeated even into the bedroom, making me feel that something was off. Either Michael had spent a lot of time in the room or was doing something there. There wasn't concrete evidence of cheating yet, but something felt wrong. Recently, when the idea of the three of us going to Mexico came up, I made up my mind to find out what they were up to. I decided to go along with them and pretend I didn't notice anything. I swore to myself that if there was anything suspicious, I wouldn't overlook it. I had also felt uneasy about how close Michael and Maran seemed. Although my distrust for Michael grew daily, I didn't want to believe that he was actually involved with Maran. I believed that such a relationship between my sister's husband and anyone was unthinkable. Even if Michael acted inappropriately towards Maran, I genuinely believed she wouldn't reciprocate. That's why I deeply trusted Maran. However, that trust was soon shattered. On the first night of the trip, after 3 o'clock in the morning, I clearly saw Maran sneaking out of her bed and heading to Michael's room. Upon hearing this, it felt like something inside me had collapsed. I made it seem as though I was in deep sleep that night. After getting into bed as usual, I faintly heard the door open. Responding to the sound, I got up and looked down the hallway from the peephole in my door. I then saw you opening Michael's door. Moreover, I clearly saw Michael gently embracing you on the shoulder and welcoming you inside. After this revelation, the room was enveloped in silence. "But that can't be right, Vince. You were sound asleep that night. Proof of that is how loudly you were snoring. And there's no reason for me to go to another room." Maran's voice trembled slightly, and she seemed unable to hide her anxiety. That loud snoring was part of my plan. I pretended to be in a deep sleep to observe your actions, and though I hoped I was wrong, I saw you heading to Michael's room. Maran seemed to be thinking of an excuse but remained silent. Though you are in-laws, the fact that Michael often visits our house and every time you greet him with especially vibrant makeup and a beaming smile honestly just felt unnatural to me. Did you think I wouldn't feel anything after learning this truth? That was a huge mistake. After these strong words, the faces of Moran and Michael went pale in front of an infuriated Vince. Both stood speechless. About an hour after you snuck out, you came back and laid down next to me as if nothing had happened. I can't believe you have such a relationship with your brother-in-law. Moreover, on the second night, you secretly left the room and didn't return for about 2 hours. Did you think I hadn't noticed the first night and felt at ease? Actually, I was there. There was a hint of surprise and a slight tremor in her voice. I was just pretending to be sound asleep during this trip, right next to me, and with my brother-in-law of all people. How could you do something like that? Michael, you're being too irresponsible. Vince, to be honest, we carefully chose his words, but a solid excuse didn't come out. Susan, I've made up my mind. I will arrange my own flight ticket and plan to return to the U.S. I will leave these two in Mexico. What do you think? Yes, I also think that's best. Michael, Mary, and both of you should start a new life in Mexico, and there's no need for either of you to come back to the U.S. I think that's the best choice. I responded. Carly, with a smile, said, Michael, please, at least help with the flight costs. I'm really stuck here. I'm begging you. Considering you worked as a bartender before, Michael, finding a part-time job in a bar or restaurant at the airport shouldn't be too difficult. Moran is personable and has a good reputation with men. Perhaps she can excel as PR staff for some establishments. I advised with a hint of sarcasm, but still remained calm. Later on, after hearing the details, Vince was able to smoothly return to the U.S. During that time, Vince and I came up with a specific plan and started executing the necessary steps to carry it out. Between our busy work schedules, Vince and I moved forward with the necessary arrangements and procedures, becoming even more united in our endeavors. On the other hand, we received information that a distressed Michael and Moran managed to find a way to return to the U.S. with the support of their respective families. A few days later, I received an unexpected call from Michael on my cell phone. Susan, what's going on? When I returned home, I couldn't open the apartment door at all. Moreover, there's a tag on the door saying vacant. What's happening? Michael's voice was a mix of confusion and irritation as he questioned me. Oh, is that so? I terminated that apartment lease. What? How? Disbelief and shock were evident in Michael's voice. The lease was under my name, so how? It is my prerogative, right? I just took action based on my wishes. I took a deep breath and calmly responded. But what about my belongings and important stuff? I've sorted everything out. Most of the things you own didn't have much market value, making it hard to sell to buyers. What? I can't believe this. Michael's voice was trembling with shock and disbelief. You should have everything you need from our trip, right? With that alone, you should be able to get by temporarily. If push comes to shove, you'll have to think about how to survive outside. You must be joking. Susan, where are you right now? I won't give you the exact location, but I'm spending time in a new environment with Thea. I answered with a smile. Wait a minute, Susan. I have your gold card and I want to return it, so I want to meet you. There was a strong sense of pleading in his voice. That card's validity period has already expired, so even if you return it, I can't use it anymore. I replied calmly. To tell you the truth, I purposely left the card in an able state for you. It was part of my plan to burden you with a significant debt after our divorce was finalized. What are you talking about? Divorce? What do you mean by debt? If it's proven in court that you used my credit card without permission for large purchases, it will likely be quickly acknowledged when I request a divorce. I can't believe it. I never thought of divorce. Right now, I don't have a place to live or funds. I don't know how I'm going to make a living. That's not my problem. I plan to raise Thea on my own from now on. I'm building a new life towards that goal. Wait, Susan, please listen to me till the end. I'm truly sorry and I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart. I absolutely don't want a divorce. Although I could sense Michael's desperation, I calmly hung up the phone. Maran seemed to be in a similar situation, appearing to have lost her place and was in turmoil. Vince, where are you right now? My key to the apartment isn't working. I don't know how I'm supposed to spend the night. Please do something, Maran pleaded with a tone of despair. I've already let go of that apartment. Our relationship ends here. Any future correspondence will be through lawyers. It's best this way. Don't contact me directly anymore. Goodbye. Wait, Vince, please just hear one thing. My involvement with Michael was only due to his persistent invitations. The only one I truly love is you. For that matter, you seemed pretty happy entering his room during the trip. Seeing you smiling and talking with Michael deeply hurt me. I feel I no longer want to be involved with someone who could do such things. After that, Maran was completely cut off from Vince, losing all means to contact him. A few weeks later, after consulting with professionals, I decided to divorce Michael. The process went smoothly. I carefully wrote and sent letters to both Michael and Maran, demanding appropriate compensation. Michael was also strongly demanded to return the full amount he had spent with the unauthorized use of the credit card. Vince proceeded with a procedure to end his marriage with Maran and later formally demanded a consolation payment from both Michael and Maran. Distraught, Michael and Maran looked for a new place to live and began their life in an old apartment that was about 40 years old. Michael searched for new job opportunities every day but couldn't immediately find one. However, he desperately made a living with day labor jobs like construction sites and helping with moving. Maran also looked for work to support their life, but having been at home for a long time, it was hard to immediately find a good job. Eventually, Maran took on a night job. The establishment was located in the downtown entertainment district and was known for attracting many male customers. Knowing this, Michael was deeply concerned about her safety and strongly urged Maran to avoid direct contact with the male patrons. Michael didn't fully understand the nature of Maran's job, and his mind was filled with anxiety and doubts. Didn't you also work as a bartender in the past, serving drinks and chatting? It's no different, she argued, reflecting on her past and confronting Michael. This argument resulted in a significant misunderstanding, and the once-loving couple chose different paths. They both became mentally and physically exhausted, forced into a financially difficult life. On the other hand, I acquired rights as Thea's parent and chose the path of a single mother. This decision wasn't easy, but it was necessary for Thea and for my own future. I receive support at work, can take maternity leave, and in an environment where I can raise Thea with peace of mind. My superiors and colleagues are understanding, often offering advice and support. When I return to work, I plan to place Thea in childcare and also get support from my mother to get through daily life. Currently, Thea is growing healthfully and energetically every day. Seeing her smile and growth is my daily motivation. I continue to lead a peaceful life, taking Thea on stroller walks in the park and interacting with other mothers. These park walks also serve as healing moments for both of us. Life has its challenges, but I intend to fully cherish these valuable times with Thea.